Welcome to Intentional Queen Podcast, where women come to be empowered on their self-love, self-healing, and growth mindset journey. I am Janine. I'm a certified life coach and the host of this podcast, and I'm just so grateful to have you guys with me because we are getting ready to just be in our glow up. I'm just so happy this month because last month for me was just so good. So let's go ahead and do a quick recap, and I'm going to jump into some things. Last episode, we had Shayna Hatchell. She came through. She blessed the tribe with Self Love Save Me. And Self Love Save Me, she talked about her health and wellness journey. She talked about the faith of a mustard seed. That's what she said. And people have sent me some reviews back, and it has definitely broken some chains off some people about her authenticity and her just breaking down some of them barriers that we sometimes as women face, that you just want to know that you're not the only woman going through. So we out here just healing people near and far. So we shouting out Shayna Hatchell. If you did not listen to that episode, that's going to bless you right there. Like I said, she is an author. She's doing big things with her books, and she started a collective that's helping Black people all over the world. And it's an initiative that she's doing to tell them more about diabetes education. Both of her children's books have been put into JDRF, which is a big time foundation that helps juvenile diabetics in learning and all that stuff. So she's definitely doing big things. So that is an episode. Then just definitely check that out for yourself. Also in March, it was Women Empowerment Month or Women's History Month. So if you were on some of my social media channels, I was shouting out some women near and far that I see doing big things. So definitely people in your life that you feel like you should be celebrating them, not just during that 1 month, but just celebrate them. I feel like iron sharpens iron, and you just got to go ahead and give women their props, but also it's just no competition. I feel like we can always learn from each other. And I am just a big believer of also that your net worth is as good as your network. So make sure that you're casting your net into spaces and places that can elevate you, and not more for monetary, but sometimes it's just quality people that you just want to be around. But sometimes people going in for the wrong motives. And like what I said, we're intentional queens here. And so when we step in on the scene, we're doing it with good intentions because we're trying to grow and evolve. And as I already told you, if you've been following on the podcast, that my word of the year is evolve. And I just feel like it's layers to that thing. I want to just personally thank everybody who's been supporting the Intentional Queen Journey Tribe. If y'all didn't know, I was featured in my first article, y'all. Whoop, whoop. They found something special in what I had to say. And we're going to say thank you to Shout Out HTX. So your girl is now featured in her first article. And I couldn't be featured if it wasn't for you guys supporting the channels and just making sure that you are in my movement. And I just couldn't do it without you. I just want you to keep this movement going. When you go ahead and you subscribe, you share, or you shout me out in different platforms, it makes the reach go further. So thank you for all the people who are supporting me there, and just continue to support any way that you feel comfortable. I started the Intentional Queen Refuel. I did a reboot on it, if you will, a few months ago, and I have been getting good reviews that it has been very helpful. It comes out the last Thursday of every month. So on March 31st is where I sent the last one. I had some people join. Now that we moved through that, I wanted to make April be all about spring into self care. I got injured at work probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago to my shoulder. And so what happened was, in my main gig, something happened and I got injured. I had to get some more follow up work and got an MRI, and there's some injury there. So your girl has been in physical therapy hardcore 3 times a week. So this is more important for me to do this episode because it's all about how to take care of yourself, how we going to get our self-care game up in these streets. We need to elevate that game because sometimes we just really lose who we are because we always being there for everybody else. But the key thing is you got to be able to take care of yourself so you could be able to take care of others. I mean, that's just what we're doing out here. And I'm just out here empowering you to do better because I'm trying to do better. And when we doing better together, it's just a whole movement. So I'm going to drop you some wisdom nuggets of the 10 things that I really think are going to elevate your self-care game out here in these streets. So let's jump into it, okay? Number one, let's jump into it. I want you to have grace and space for yourself and others. And what I mean by that is this: when you have grace for yourself, you're not so hard on yourself when you didn't achieve something that you wanted to do, or something didn't happen the way that you wanted it to happen, or you mad at people because of how they did things that impacted you. And so, what I want you to do is have grace and space for them. And if you listen to Silence is a Superpower, I talked about hurt people hurt people. And so, what I mean by that is when hurt people are hurt, they don't intentionally mean to hurt you, but if you help them to be healed, you know what I mean, and you show them some grace in that space that they going through, maybe you can flip the thing and make them be healed, so then they stop hurting people. But it's also about that ability to have grace in that space, and maybe you the hurt one out there in the streets, so have grace for yourself, because nobody's going to give it to you more than yourself, and it all starts from within. And I teach my clients that too. Have it for yourself and start from within, because what you think on the inside will ooze out. And that's also when I tell people, when I did the Power of Discovery episode, which was talk to yourself nice, because pretty much how you talk to yourself might exude the way of how you start to talk to others. So maybe if you talk to yourself a little nicer, I call that talk to me nice. Okay, talk to me nice. It would exude a different way, because people be able to receive you a little bit better because of the output that you put in, like a transmitter, which you emitting out into the air. I'm just saying, something to think about. Let's jump into number two: not shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. Now, this is a big one here, and this is not in any particular order, so don't think one is bigger than the other. But number two, not shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. Have you ever been in settings where you felt like you couldn't show up as who you are because it might make somebody else feel uncomfortable? So you be like, I'm gonna just dim my light a little bit, or I'm not gonna be myself because I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, or I don't want nobody to feel some type way. I want you to think about that. I want to encourage you or empower you, or just even give you thought work of, is it possible that you don't have to shrink yourself to be in those settings, and you can still show up as you and be okay if they don't really receive you the way you wanted them to? Because I coach my clients on this too. That's on their side of the game. That's their brain about how they feel or think about you. You cannot control others. So really the thought is, you belong anywhere you go. If you're not feeling comfortable in that space, maybe you need to move to another space. Maybe you need to create another tribe. Maybe find some new people that give you that feeling, that sense. But it really starts from within you, and how you think about how you feel about it. So just get into a space where you just not really shrinking yourself, and you like, listen, I'm here for it. This is who I am. Okay, accept me in a healthy way. Don't be out there being what we said, hurt people hurt people. So I don't want you to be out in the streets just showing up as take me as I am, but you out there being angry and bitter. Like, no, that's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. Okay. Number three, being your authentic self. You in your glow up season. You're glowing from the inside out. So don't dim your light to make others feel comfortable. It kind of goes with number two, but it's still be authentically you. What does that mean? Show up as who you are, and that is okay. So I'm gonna give y'all a little tidbit. I'm in a mastermind group, and we was talking about reels and stuff like that. And I was like, I do reels on my IG, but it's not really me moving or talking. It's just like pictures, okay? And I had said to myself, I made a smart goal. I'm going to jump on the camera. Janine going to jump on that thing. And so I jumped on that thing, y'all. And I did this introverted one where you put your fingers down. And I did one with nursing. And I put my fingers down because they ask you questions. You put your fingers down. And man, listen, the amount of plays on that thing was whoo. And so what I'm saying to you here is, when you're trying new things and you're showing up as yourself, I was just reaching out to my fellow nurses. I was just reaching out to my introverted people, and they received me. Like I said, you go where you feel like that's where you at, because it's going to flow to you. All right, number four, win or learn. Wow, what would I say about this on that self-care type thing? When you look at winning or losing, sometimes you may take that L and think, oh my gosh, I've lost. But really, you didn't lose. It's something you can learn from that. There's something that you can use as a growth plate to get you to the next level. I call it learned lessons, learned behavior, something that's going to help elevate you in your next step. That's also what I call for self care, too, of saying that you are ending a chapter so you can begin anew. Oh, that's good. You are ending a chapter to start anew. And sometimes that's with people. That loss you thought was a loss was really you ending a chapter because you're getting ready to start a new chapter. And you can't, when you turn the page, they no longer start in that chapter with you. And guess what, boo boo? That is okay. One more time for the person in the back. That is okay. I want you to take care of yourself. Y'all heard me talk about me getting injured. And so with me getting injured, I had to really get to a place that I was like, oh, okay, boo. You need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Because I'm so used to running around and taking care of people. I do that in my day-to-day job. I'm taking care of my child. Like I'm just always the giver of care. And sometimes you need to give yourself some care, but you also want people around to kind of come to you and give you some care. So I'm shouting out my team, my village. They checked me in the streets and said, listen, what you tell people take care of themselves? Are you taking care of yourself? And so I had to learn this keyword right here. 4 letters. Rest. 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 Because sometimes, you be saying to yourself, you're going to rest and you lay on the couch and you watching TV and you be like, well, I need to go do this, or I could be doing laundry. I could, and you feel bad inside your brain. Like, it's things I could be doing. But are you really resting? And I had to learn how to rest and take care of myself. And actually, I need to be rested and healed up so I can keep moving and do the things that I really want to do. So take care of yourself. The next thing I want to say is teach people how to treat you. I did a whole podcast episode on that, but to me, it revolves around boundaries. Okay. And y'all hear me talk about Nedra Talwick all the time. She has a good book. She actually got a workbook. I just ordered the workbook, so I'm going to start looking into that. So when you're teaching people how to treat you, that's when there's healthy boundaries. Okay. And sometimes a boundary is, I can't do that. Sometimes a boundary is removing yourself out of toxic situations. Sometimes a boundary is realizing how it makes you feel. And if it's stirring something up in you, like a trigger or something like that, maybe you need to create a healthy boundary. But I remember Nedra also saying sometimes when you feel a lot of anxiety about something, or in that space or in that place or that person, that's where the boundary need to be. Because people say, well, how do you know you need a boundary? If it's causing you some anxiety or some workup, like you like, maybe you need to put a boundary there. I'm just saying, think about it. This is a heavy one right here. Know your self-worth and value is always 100. I just was coaching my client on this a couple days ago, and I just want you to hear me right now. So this is why I had to add this one to the list, okay? You hear me talk about it on the podcast as well. Knowing your self-worth. Your self-worth is always 100. Like I said, whether you're winning or you're learning, it's always 100. So anything that comes to you, any person, anything, any job, anything that's going on in your life, it's a bonus. Okay. And what I mean by it's a bonus that if those things go away, that job goes away, that person goes away, that friendship goes away. You still 100 boo boo out there in the streets. And it doesn't matter because I say what? You're a giraffe out here in these streets anyway. And so when you have vision and you know you're going far, you need to understand as you climb the hill, everybody can't go with you. And listen, I got my son, he loves Dora because, I'm trying to teach him Spanish, but I call it Spanglish because I did take Spanish back in school. So I got a little bit, I get a little few sentences. And then when people start speaking back, I'll be like, poco, listen, mama don't know that much. But I'm talking about Dora the Explorer. She put on a backpack, a little song be like, backpack, 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 backpack. And you know what I'm saying with that is you got to put your backpack on. And you sometimes when you becoming a giraffe and you going up the mountain, those people fall off. I said in the last episode about adversity, and I talked about getting from the bus and going to the van because you getting in a Bugatti, and basically what it means is the quantity of people that you had along the way will change, like it will shift, and it may decrease. But the goal that you want as you're moving and from the bus to the minivan to the Bugatti is understanding quality over quantity, because that's why things are downsizing. But the quality of those relationships are coming for you. Okay, that's a word for somebody. Y'all know when I get amped up because I'll be letting you know. Okay, and so quantity is not as important as quality. And I always say too, your net worth is as good as your network. So make sure your network is quality too. Ooh, that's a pause. So your value is always 100. And sometimes you just got to jump out. Like I told you with that reel, I was like, ooh, the mastermind group had me feeling like, ooh, okay. How can I do it? And so, listen, I didn't try to be like them. I found a way to be Janine and show up as I was. And so for me, that was a nice baby step in for me. The ladies talking on the reel. I'm just moving some hands because I wasn't going to dance. I wasn't going to do all that. That's not where I'm at. I don't like all these flashing lights and all that stuff. No shade on the people that can do reels like that, but I struggle with that as an introvert. So I'm like, nah, this fits into my genre. And then the people spoke and said, Neen, I'm you. I got you. And that's how you start letting what flow for you flow in, the people that's supposed to be there, right? I casted a net on something that is who I authentically am because, see, I'm going to relate it back. Having grace for others and having grace for yourself, huh? Not shrinking yourself, becoming comfortable, okay? And saying, hey, this is me. Being your authentic self because it's going to lead to the glow up, okay? That is what I'm talking about, winning and learning. This is all coming together. Remember, I told you, y'all, I speak in layers. Now, let's talk about this self-care routine. We have to talk about a self-care routine. Sometimes when you going through the mud, you be looking a little raggedy. Okay. So we got to get back in touch with getting you back to your feminine side. Cause they always got this whole femininity talk out here. No judgments. But I'm just saying, getting back into the game, get you a little bit more feminine out here, and they're like, oh, you should be doing this and the face mask and the this and the that. And so I started to do a little research because how I said I always like to feed my brain every day, and I tried to figure out where I could zhuzh up my self-care game. So I'm trying these new little clay masks. They're doing big things for me. Change up my skincare routine, working out, but can't go too hard because I'm in physical therapy with the arm. But finding out a way of saying to myself, what can you do? So that's the question. That's going to be your thought work. Okay. What can you do? So sometimes you got to modify for what happened. So because I like to do burpees and jump rope and do all these things, well, that requires my arm. My arm's a little jacked up right now. So now I'm out here box jumping and finding ways to tweak my exercises with bands, and doing all types of stuff to go ahead, switching my ad workout where I don't have to use my arms to do certain things, and figuring out how I can still be cute in these streets without compromising healing. Because what is self love, self healing, and growth mindset on this channel? And I just want y'all to understand sometimes you got to just ask yourself, what can you do? So don't be depressed about, oh, I can't do what I used to do. You like, oh, boo boo, what can I do now, though? To maintain or to just be in like a maintenance phase, I call it right now, until you can get back to your full self. Like I said, switching the game up of your workouts, switching up how you eating, okay? Shouting out one of my intentional queen tribes, they blessed me with a free Hello Fresh box. And so I've been here having a month trial with that, and I'm actually been doing really good. I did a Facebook video, I think, with my son. He been helping me cook because, like I said, you modify some things to help me out with meal planning because of my busy lifestyle. So things that you can find for you, okay? Get your routine together. I also want you to purge what no longer serves you. And that goes back to the podcast episode I talk about too, which is called the capacity to hold. So sometimes you got to purge what doesn't feel good for you. I was spring cleaning, right? So I was in this crib getting things together. I just had the donation people come and pick things up from in front of my garage. And they was like, wow, you got a lot of stuff. I was in here purging. If it don't serve me, it's up out of here. Okay. Because you can't bring in if you don't have no room. Okay. And that's why the intentional refuel is talking about refuel when you'll see me talk about the water, because it goes back to that concept. It talks about having the glasses or the containers, right? And the containers can hold water, but sometimes you have the cup filled so high you can't take on nothing more, or it's too low and you have nothing to pour into someone else. So you have to make sure that you have purged and ready to receive. And I think Steve Harvey, because his mama said something to him back in the day, I was listening to one of his motivational videos a couple years ago, and he was talking about his mama said take them old bricks off, take that old car off them bricks in the garage. And he had a car sitting on bricks at his mama house, and he kept telling his mom, I want this new car, I want this, I want that. And she was like, well, you're not going to get that, brother, because you got that old car sitting back there. So sometimes in order to make room for what you want to flow in, okay, hear me now, what you want to flow in, you got to make room. So listen, I said, we making room up in here because now you able to take in because it's not there. and things that don't serve you. Yes, they served you in a point in time. So now you got to be out here. What's the girl, Marie Kondo? You got to be out here like, blessed. Thank you for that time that you served me. Thank you, clothes, for serving me. Thank you. And listen, you bless it on to somebody else, because listen, maybe this time it can help somebody else. It helped you in that space. Because remember, I said you're moving into a new chapter, because it's the glow up of 2022. And so if you wonder what I'm talking about, go back to the first episode, January 1. I recorded that thing. And because I'm speaking life over you, because it's all about knowing in your mind. It comes in your mind before it comes out into action. So when you tell yourself, that's what helps motivate you. That's why I always talk about make your vision plain. That's why I talk about Hubukak Tutu. I know I'm messing up that name in the Bible, but listen, you look through your Bible, you look it up, it's Hubukak Tutu and 2:3. And they talk about make your vision and make it plain, and you write it out. And man, listen, you meditate over that, because when you meditate over that, you know where you're going. I hit 80% of my goal of my vision board for 2021. And listen, I'm on a roll this year. And I'm only letting you know that because I'm looking over my vision, because I'm marinating on my vision. My decisions that I'm maneuvering are related to my vision. But I'm going to give you a little caveat here. Be careful who you tell your vision to, because not everybody is for you. Oh, that's a word. Be careful. So now you got to get more to a place of confirming arrivals, not telling things. Okay, because what you might have is some people who throw stumbling blocks until you try and make it to your destination. So I confirm destinations when I've arrived, but I don't always tell people where I'm going, because they might try to sabotage you in the meantime. So you got to watch that. Oh, that's a word. Okay. And then I was coaching this too, and this is a heavy one. And I actually told my client this, to put it on a sticky note and put it up on her mirror and say it out loud. And this is become comfortable with being uncomfortable. What does that mean? It may feel uncomfortable, but you have good people in your life who know how to coach you through in a safe way. Because sometimes people be having you strung out on a limb and you like, oh, I'm out here, but you don't feel safe, but it's uncomfortable. You want to be around folk and things and places that you uncomfortable, but you feel okay to be uncomfortable because you safe out there with them. Or you watch them walk the walk already, so they've already shown you the literature review, because you know y'all be like, girl, she be out there reading. They already shown you the facts and literature review of how they walked on out there, because they already did it. So they seen just come to the point of where they've been. And to get to the point to continue to be comfortable talks about your confidence. And the way to do that is to start off with being vulnerable. And then you become courageous, and then you just do an act, and then you just keep doing it over and over and over. And I already said this too, it takes about 21 days to a month for you to get a learned behavior down in your system. And so in order for it to feel that way, you have to continue to do it. And I told her to write it out, but I also told her to say it out loud, because I want her subconscious mind to know that it is okay, because what her mind will think, then her body will allow her to do. And we out here blessing women near and far. So it worked for me, because like I said, I was out on a limb, and now I'm standing where I'm standing, and I will not be moved. And so at that point, people said, Neen, put your hand out and let me come with you. And I said, okay, put your backpack on, Dora the Explorer, backpack. And they said they come in. I said, okay, well, come with me. But what you get to a point, when I talked about with purging, is sometimes we get to a point that we want to carry them on our back, not the backpack. You want to carry them up the hill, and you wonder why you tired out here in the streets and why you not taking care of yourself. Okay, because you carrying everybody and trying to walk. Now you hurt, talking about injured. And so you have to be careful about how much you taking on you, what you say. Oh, this is another word too, because you know in the airlines, you know when the stewardess be up there and they telling you, and they put their two fingers up on both sides, and they be like on this side and on this side and in the back and the back, and the car drops down, and make sure you put your oxygen mask on before you put it on somebody else. That's how I feel. You have to take care of you before you can take care of somebody else. And that's pretty much the big thing that I want to talk about, is because it all starts from within you and how you take care of yourself. And also when we showing our kids that we believe. I mean, I remember my parents, they're older now, but ever since I was little, they always work out. They always work out. They're active, and they've shown me that being active so young, talking about them when they were young, parenting, that it was showing me as a parent that I have to make sure I keep that going for me, because look at where I can be later. It's all about taking care of yourself through it. And sometimes when I talk about grace too, it's sitting in them spaces, because sometimes we be so quick to run through a process or run through a moment or run through. It's really the revelations come when you sit in your mess. That's a word for somebody too. Sometimes the revelation come when you sit in that thing, because you marinate in that thing. You in that thing. You in it. You start dissecting it and breaking it on down, and then that end up being the pain that you have from sitting in your mess that end up making you find your purpose, and then you birth your vision. Then you out here. That is a word. I feel like church, y'all, but that ain't even what I do. I know y'all be like me, you be getting it, but I'm just giving you some of the revelations that I didn't had just even with myself and sitting here with you. And this the bonus one, and we're gonna wrap this thing on up. Let go of perfection. So when you want things to be perfect, you can end up becoming stagnant on your own, because you want everything to be perfect, lined up, teed up, dotted I, crossed of the T before you step out and toe dip into that water. No, not necessarily. Should you check the temperature of the water? Yeah, because you don't want to be hot. Check back about the frog parable, okay? Because you might cook yourself. But I mean, you should check the temperature of the water, like they do. What's that when they make is that meringue that they be doing, and they be tempering it with the egg and they fluff it up and all that stuff, or egg fluffs? I don't know. You're making it happen, but you might have to do it in slow baby steps. And even though a slow baby step make you feel like you're not moving, it's still a step, because we get so consumed of getting to the end target, but we don't want to talk about all the baby steps that it took. And I'm right now laughing on the inside. And if my trainer is listening to this, because this is hilarious, because when she was teaching me how to box jump, but when she was hardcore, because I was trying to lose that weight, she was like, "You gonna do these box jumps?" I said, "Nah, that's not what we're doing." She said, "Well, you're gonna jump on this box. It's like 24 inches." I was like, "No, that's not what we're doing. You're gonna go get my mom old school stair step. What's that, about 4 inches? Okay, I jump up on that." You know what I mean? Because you got to get your footing together. You got to bend them knees right. You got to squat that booty down and then elevate and jump in and hit your landing. Now, if you don't, you miss a leg step, you're going down. Okay. And I was trying to be cute at the gym. I was like, oh no, they ain't the people gonna be laughing at me trying to jump that high, boo boo. No, no. Okay. So then we kept baby stepping. So then she said, "All right, Janine, you get two aerobic stair steps on there." I said, "Okay, we start there, because that's probably like 5, 6 inches now." I said, "Okay, I could do that. I could do that." So then we started doing that. Then she started elevating me. Then she made me more repetition. Then she'd be like, "You're gonna come from the back, do hopscotch." Okay, because I had bands. I look like a robotic person. She had bands on my ankles, bands on my legs. Then we got to a point that she was putting a band around my stomach, and then I was jumping 24 to 36 inches by the time I was doing it. But we did that over a course of a month. That didn't happen overnight. But the point I'm making here is it wasn't perfect when I was jumping, and then it got to a point, and then she started recording me. So I'm also working with people, and I say this to you too. What is not measured, you know what I mean? You really can't see your progress. I put that up, and it's by, I think his name is Peter Drucker. And he talks about how will you really know the validity and the measurement of what you're doing if you don't go ahead and document it in some way. And so at first, I didn't want her taking videos of me. I was like, no, you will not be putting these videos up of me while I'm trying to learn this box jump situation. Because I remember when I did my first box jump that was pretty high, the whole gym clapped. Okay. The CrossFit gym was like, listen, how they pause. They like, is she gonna land it? Is she gonna land it? I'm saying to myself, Janine, you gonna land it. You gonna land it. And then when I landed it, oh, you couldn't tell me nothing. But she had faith in me, and she didn't care if it was perfect. And listen, the people started then getting inspired because they want to do the box jump and the hopscotch and all the stuff she had me doing. I tell you all these things not because of a bragging moment, but I want to show you that it takes time. And that perfection of me saying I'm not going to jump because people might see me fall. You hear where I'm going with this? It's always something to my story. I'm not going to jump because people going to see me fall and judge me. So what? It's all about you and what you think. And I kept saying to myself, I'm gonna land this box jump. I'm gonna land this. I'm going. And then as she started to put more things on me, bands and this and that, it got my core tighter. It got things, and then I became more able to do that. Now I'm not back at that level, because that's one thing about working out too. If you don't use the muscles, you don't be where you used to be. So you have to just start where you are. And that's where I go back to, what can you do? Because I didn't want to lose everything that I had worked hard for with muscle, because it's very easy to lose your gains when you slow down. And so I got kind of skinny because I had leaned out instead of being so muscular. And so you get to a point where you learn that what can you do? and you just allow what's for you to flow in, and those people will come because you build and they will come. So listen, that's the end of my message. I am so appreciative of you guys. I want you to know that if this resonated with you and you want to work together, I'm a certified life coach, self love, growth mindset for women. You sign up for your free consultation with me. I am ready. You can sign up by sliding in my DMs. You can slide in my DMs at Intentional Queen Journey. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. I'm also on my email at Intentional Queen Journey at Gmail. And I'm even on the website. So it is ways to get in touch with me because people say, Neen, I want to get with you. How can I find you? That is the way to find me. And I am your girl for that, okay? Because if you're ready, I'm ready. Subscribe, rate, and review on whatever platform that you get this Intentional Queen Journey information. And I see you in 2 weeks, guys. Bye-bye.